So my name is Zelina Rodriguez, and I am part of a group called USS Chefs. We're a group of 4 chefs partners, and what we're doing through food is trying to change the food culture of Corpus. We are 4 chefs that have partnered. We've worked together for years. 3 of my partners went to culinary school right here in Del Mar. The program, they're amazing. One is a pastry chef, and us 3 are just savory chefs. I am a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu in Austin, and I've moved to Corpus, made it my home, and have just tried to do what I can to make the food scene here in Corpus amazing. So what I'm doing today here with Morgan Street Seafood is showcasing their beautiful seafood that they have, and we're gonna do some videos. So today what we're doing is a blackened drum taco with a cilantro cream sauce and a little cabbage and carrot slaw. All right, so what I'm gonna start with right now is I'm gonna start with the slaw. I'm gonna cut some purple cabbage. And then I'll cut a little bit of green cabbage. And what I wanna do in between that is I want to clean off my knife a little bit. So sometimes the purple cabbage will stain your knife. So if you don't want your green cabbage to look a little purple, just give a little clean in between. So I like to cut my cabbage fairly thin, just so when I put my lime vinaigrette on it, it kind of breaks it down just a little bit, makes it a nice little softer for your taco. So there. I also have a little carrot that I want to put in it. I have one of these great peelers, so I peeled the carrot, and this is a great shredder, and to me it just makes these beautiful shreds. I really like the way you get nice long shreds. So, through the magic of TV, I already have some shredded here. So, what I like to go for in my cooking is a lot of color. So, the purple cabbage, the green cabbage, the carrot, to me it's just a lot of color. And everything that I cook, I try to do a pop of color in. So I have that going. Now I'm just going to make a little lime vinaigrette. So anytime you want to work with a lime, if you want to give it a little roll, just to kind of get those juices nice and soft, so you have an easier time when you squeeze your limes. Squeeze that into here. So a little bit more about me. I like to talk about myself. I used to work in San Antonio, and not only did I teach culinary at a cooking school for kids, but I did some fine dining. I started my first fine dining restaurant was at a seafood restaurant. So seafood is very near and dear to my heart. I love cooking seafood, all kinds of seafood. And then moving to Corpus, the coast, the water, I mean, we have it in abundance here, so why not use it, right? So I have some lime juice and just a pinch of salt, and I'm gonna do a little bit of garlic powder. And again, this is just a really simple vinaigrette, lime vinaigrette for our slaw. So whenever working with fish, especially with tacos, you want that acid for that punch of flavor. So I'm just gonna drizzle in a little bit of oil, just make a really simple vinaigrette. And I say simple because it's simple ingredients, but what I like to showcase is just simple, easy ingredients that taste amazing together. So there. A nice little vinaigrette. I'm going to pour that on there. I'm just going to move that to the side there, and then I'm going to mix this up. All right, and we're just going to kind of let this all come together and marry. And when we're ready to make our tacos, it's going to be nice and soft and limey and delicious. All right, so that's just gonna sit there. So then the next thing I wanna do is I'm gonna make a cilantro cream sauce. So I have a little burner here, and I'm gonna add in a little bit of butter to my cilantro cream sauce. And so in my cilantro cream sauce, I'm using today some chopped garlic and some red onions. And I really like the combination flavor of garlic and onions. To me, I start most of my dishes with it. It's just gonna give you a lot of flavors. So in this cilantro cream sauce, what I'm gonna do is saute the onions and the garlic together. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these stems of the cilantro. Now, a lot of people like to throw away the stems. They don't like to use them in their cooking. I love using the cilantro stems in my cooking. I think it adds a lot of cilantro flavor, and it's not going to be, it's not going to wilt down like the leaves will. It'll hold up a little bit better and just give you a lot of flavor, and you don't have to incorporate that into your sauce at the end. You can just leave it there in the pan. All right, guys, so we have our butter. It's starting to get melted, nice. And you know what? I'm just gonna use it all. This is 3 cloves of garlic and half of a medium-sized red onion, what I have in here. So we're gonna saute that. I'm gonna get that nice and soft. Let that saute a little bit. And then once that starts to get a little brown, your onions start to get a little clear, then I'm gonna add in those cilantro stems and I'm going to saute all that together. All right, guys, so you can see the onions are starting to get nice and soft, the garlic's starting to get nice and brown. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw in these stems. I'm also really about not wasting food. So like my peels, anytime I peel a carrot, I save those. My onion ends, I save those. I save them in a Ziploc bag, I save them in the freezer, and then I use them for stock. I try to create as little waste as possible in the kitchen. So you'll see the stems will really hold up nicely. The leaves are just gonna wilt down to nothing. So that's why I use the stems in this particular step. Okay, and at this step right now, I like to season at every step. I'm gonna just do a little pinch of kosher salt. And so a lot of people think, oh, salt, you know, scary, makes things salty. Salt actually, when used properly, enhances the natural flavors of the food that you're cooking. So seasoning at every step is very important. All right, so this is starting to get soft. It's going to wilt down a little bit. What I'm going to do now is add in my heavy cream. I'm going to give this one last little stir. Then what I want this to do is come up to a simmer. So you need to kind of watch it. I mean, you don't have to watch it very closely, but if you let it come to a boil, it will boil over. And ask me how many times I've boiled over heavy cream. Quite a few times. So make sure you keep an eye on it. But at this point, you can kind of set it off to the side and let it do its thing. All right, so now while that's going, we're going to move back to, so when I cut the cilantro, I have the stems for that and I save the leaves for our garnish. So we have our slaw going, we have our cilantro, and now we're going to work on our fish. I'm gonna get this beautiful, amazing drum and I'm going to get it ready. So now this part right here, this is part of the belly. So what I do is I just take that off. Now, if you want to, you can save this. I mean, it has great flavor. It's not going to cook up really well, especially for this type of thing, but I save scraps like this all the time for seafood stocks. So again, Ziploc bag in the freezer is something that I would save and use for a seafood stock. Right, so I'm gonna take and I'm gonna cut this in half. So we're making tacos, so we don't want them too big. This one has been filleted very nicely. I'm checking for any bone, so what I like to do is just kind of run my hands along the edges here, just make sure that we didn't miss any. And then like this part, I'll clean it up just a little bit. Those thin parts, they're going to cook way faster than the rest of your seafood, or the rest of your fish. So what I like to do is just make sure it's all pretty evenly, even thickness all the way across. So really quickly moving back, you see we've gotten to a boil very quickly, so it could boil over. So what I'm going to do right now is just remove it from the heat. and that'll get it back down. And what I'm gonna do is, now that it's come to that boil, I'm gonna lower this, and then we're just gonna let this simmer and reduce. So again, here, this is pretty thick. I'm gonna cut off this end because we don't need that for this particular. So now I have these two pieces. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna season them, and then I'm going to season them in a blackening seasoning. And when I do my blackened fish, I only season one side because the blackened seasonings are usually very salty. They're very full of flavor. So I only season the front, the show part of the fish as it would. Here, a little Ragin' Cajun. And I'm going to just get that nice and coated. And I'm gonna set that there. Get that. It's nice and evenly coated. I like using a plate or a big pan for this, just because you can lay it all down and you can coat everything pretty evenly. And then once you do this, of course, you know, it's had fish on it, so you don't want to save that. You want to get rid of that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move this back over to the ice for 1 second. So next what I want to do is I'm going to heat up the tortillas. So I'm going to get those going first, so that way once my fish is cooked, I'm not having to wait on heating up tortillas and my fish cools. We will let it rest after we pull it out of the pan, but that's only going to be a few minutes, and then that time we'll make the rest of our garnish for our tortillas. So I'm going to let this pan heat up, and then I'm going to heat up the tortillas. So when it comes to fish tacos, I used to be only corn. Don't give me a flour tortilla for a fish taco. No, that doesn't work. That works for a nice breakfast taco, but not for a fish taco. But recently I've become a convert of the mixed tortilla. So it's got a little bit of flour and a little bit of corn, and it just holds up so great for your taco. So, you know, I said, let me try it. And it works. So we're gonna go with a mixed flour corn tortilla. And there's a local grocery store that makes one, and it's a really great one. You probably know who I'm talking about. Okay, so this tortilla is looking really nice. This is what you want, a nice little golden brown color, and then just a plate with a towel. You don't need anything fancy to keep it going. So while these heat up, I wanted to talk a little bit more about, again, myself and what I do. So I talked about my 4 partnership of chefs. We started this business together. We were all kind of doing our own thing. My pastry chef, Adi, she was doing pastries, and I was doing catering, and I've been an executive chef here, executive chef at a yacht club. You know, I've done the whole thing. And then I said, you know what? I really want to do something for myself. And I have these 3 partners, and they all wanted to do something. So we kind of formed our vision. And so Adi and Fernando are 2 of our partners. They're married. They used to call themselves 2 Sweet Chefs because, again, they did a lot of pastry. And my partner and I, we call ourselves saltwater chefs because, again, I'm really into the seafood and the water, and it's why I live in Corpus. I love living on the water. So when we combined, it was the Sweet Chefs and the Salty Chefs. So we are United Sweet and Salty Chefs. That's where we get the USS Chefs. And my partner, he is actually retired Navy. So we kind of went with the nautical theme, the seafood theme, just to incorporate it all together. And then we partnered with the International Seaman Center. So this is a great organization. It's a worldwide organization that caters to and helps seafarers, merchant marines, and mariners. So when people come in on a boat, if they're not able to leave the boat, if they don't have anywhere to go, the Seaman Center will actually go and pick them up, take them out to run errands, take them to the mall, take them to Walmart, whatever they need to do. A lot of them don't speak English. This is just a great organization that really helps merchant marines. So it is kind of like, I kind of say something like the cross between like a VFW, because it is a bar. We are open to the public, but it caters to seafarers. So we're located behind Heritage Park, 1501 Mesquite Street. And since we've partnered with the Seaman Center, now we do lunch Monday through Friday. So we do a lunch, and we do lunch every day from 11:30 to 1:30. And the lunch that we do is always different. So I change the menu every day. I send out a weekly menu in advance, but everything we make is from scratch, fresh ingredients, as locally sourced as possible. I've partnered with a farm here in town. I do the farmer's market on Wednesday, and then that's what brought me here to Morgan Street. Morgan Street is an amazing company that does from the boat, from the ship, to the market, to you, to your table. So they are a great partnership to have when it comes to fresh seafood. So they used to be a market, and now they've gone to more wholesale for restaurants and businesses, but they're still available for walk-ins to come get your freshest, most amazing seafood that you can get in this town without having to go catch it yourself. So tortillas are ready. So those are just gonna hang out and stay warm. And what we're gonna do is move to our fish. So something that I like to do when I blacken my seafood is I like to use a little bit of butter with the oil. And the reason I do that is that butter will give you that caramelization that you really want without really getting it too black. When I cook seafood, I'm going to put it with the seasoned side down. That's my show side. And when I put it down, I'm not going to touch it. I'm gonna let it set, and I'm gonna let it do its thing, and the fish will kind of tell you when it's ready to be flipped. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, and that's what you wanna hear right there. I don't know if you can hear it, but that's sizzle. And you wanna just kind of leave that alone. You don't wanna move it around too much. Now this is a great pan. This is one of those copper pans, so my fish isn't gonna stick. But if you don't have one of these pans, if you have more of like your traditional stainless steel saute pan where it could stick, what you want to do is not touch it. Just leave it. Again, the fish will tell you when it's ready to be flipped. It'll release itself from the pan. So we're just going to kind of let this cook. And as it cooks, again, you don't want to mess with it. You'll start to see your edges get kind of white. And I would do both fillets in the pan at one time, but you never want to overcrowd your pan. So you want to make sure there's plenty of room in there for it to do its thing. And when you do that as well, it can cool down your pan and you're not getting that nice heat that you want. Okay, so now that our edges are kind of white here, I'm going to get ready. And so normally I like to use a fish spat. It's a very thin metal spatula, but you know what? You use what you have. So a little bit of my coating fell off, but that's okay. It's not gonna make a big difference in the end. And again, you don't wanna move it around too much. You just kinda wanna let it do its thing. And then, just like a piece of meat, when you cook a beef or a steak, I like to let it rest, just to kind of come, cool down just a little bit before you cut it. All right, now I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna set it on another board here, and I'm gonna let it rest while I cook this other piece. And there's that sizzle that we want. All right, so our fish is cooking. When we put it down, I heard that sizzle. That's what we wanna hear. We have that sizzle going throughout, kind of just making sure there's enough oil under there to keep it pretty. If you could smell this, guys, this smells amazing. Black drum is such a great fish. It lends itself really well to flavors, just to whatever you want to add to it. So this Cajun seasoning is just adding some great aromas in here. So we're gonna have some really great tacos. All right, guys, so we're getting ready to flip here. You can see the edges are nice and white. And as I flip this, oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. And again, if you could smell this. So again, Morgan Street Seafood, amazing. They have the freshest products. They have been in business over 60 years. And they don't only sell to restaurants, they sell to anybody. And they're open Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2. And you can come out here, you can get the freshest seafood. I know when I've needed scallops, I call and I'm like, hey, I need, U10s, can I get some? Or, in a couple weeks I have something coming up, I need octopus, and they can do it. So they're a great company, they're super friendly, they're super knowledgeable, and the fish that you will get for them, any seafood, not just fish, is going to be amazing and high quality. And again, I talked about earlier, local, again, it's coming in from the boat to the market, to your table, locally sourced, just amazing, amazing products. So we're almost ready for that piece. And as soon as I think that we're good on that, what I'm gonna do is pull this off and let that finish kind of just heating in the pan there. And I'm gonna get our sauce back up here, and then I'm gonna make some tacos. And I'm gonna put this back on here. Okay, so our fish is gonna let it come to a rest there. And then I'm just gonna kind of bring this sauce back up to a simmer. And then we'll take it off the heat. And then I'm gonna make some tacos. So I recently had a friend tell me, we try to celebrate Taco Tuesday every Tuesday. And in that, I like to make lots of different kinds of tacos. Recently, I took for a dinner my favorite soup, which is a Thai soup. It's a tom kha, and it's a coconut lemongrass soup. And I said, well, I'm gonna make a taco out of that. So I took what is the essence of that soup, the coconut and the lemongrass, and I made a sauce. And then I took the elements that are in a tom kha and I used them as my garnish. And I served it to a friend of mine, and he was like, you always have these different tacos. I never knew there were so many kinds of different tacos. And what I told him is, taco can make it you can make your tacos out of anything you want. It doesn't just have to be beef and lettuce and tomatoes, or, onions and cilantro. So that's why I made this cilantro cream sauce, and I'm gonna garnish with the slaw. So as you can see, the fish is cooked beautifully. It's flaky, it's delicious. I'm gonna put about a piece and a half on each one. And this is what you want right here, guys. This flakiness, it's not overcooked, it's perfectly cooked, and it's gonna be absolutely delicious in your taco. So I have, these are big pieces, so I'm just gonna kind of cut it down into two. And I'm gonna get my little avocado garnish. Garnish there with a little avocado. Make sure each one gets a slice. We'll do 2 slices there, 2 slices there, 2 slices there. Then we're gonna go back with our sauce, and it's just come to a simmer with a nice little boil. So you can see that sauce got nice and thick. So it's got a little viscosity. The way you can check your viscosity on your sauce is if you can take your finger and run through it and it doesn't go back together, then you know the viscosity on your sauce is nice. All right, so I'm gonna take that, and I'm not gonna really get any of those stems in there. I'm just gonna kind of leave those down. At this point, what you can do is you can take it and you can run it through a strainer. So when you decide the sauce is delicious and you wanna drink it, you don't get those those stems in your sauce. I've had people literally drink sauces that I've made, so it happens. You do want a little bit of the onion and the garlic in there, but those stems we can leave to the side. All right, and then we're gonna go back to this beautiful slaw that we made earlier, and you see the lime in that vinaigrette has broken this down, and it's nice and soft, but it's not overly soft and doesn't have too much oil. And you see those beautiful colors. All right, and then since we started with cilantro sauce, we're just gonna garnish with a little cilantro here. And again, guys, you can put anything you want in your tacos, but when you start with a great fish product, your tacos are just gonna sing. So you can add whatever you like. If you don't like cilantro, leave it out. If you don't like cabbage, make a pico instead. Basically, the sky's the limit when it comes to fish and tacos. So there you go. Black drum tacos with a Cajun seasoning, a cilantro cream sauce, and a little bit of lime cabbage sauce. Enjoy!